Foundation before, so that's really interesting.
Interesting.
Live. Oh, we're live. Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Right. So this is the first time I'm actually doing it in the JCF website. So this is really, really interesting. So today we're going to talk about Julian Campbell Foundation, but from a different perspective, because as you all know, we run our mentoring program and we train mood mentors to support young people in the community, help them manage their mental health and well-being. And here today we have Gemma. And Gemma has been mentored by mentors in the foundation. And today, Gemma is going to talk about the mentoring program and the impact on her life. So, so Gems, do you want to just just say a little bit about yourself?
So should I start with like a story? Should I go through that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've struggled with mental health since I was about 10 or 11. So I was going to say in primary school, but throughout my kind of childhood, I struggled to make friends. I was very isolated, and I never felt like I was accepted or valued or like I really was fitting in with anyone. And that went on for quite a few years. So in my view, to make people accept me, I would basically make up things about myself, make up stories, make up anything to make people accept me. So I'd say anything to follow a trend. I'd say anything to change parts about me that I thought wouldn't fit in with everyone else. So when I was a kid, obviously they were white lies. They weren't anything drastic. They were pretty small, and they were just friends who would have forgotten about it by the next day anyway. But once I left primary school and I started secondary, my parents divorced, which at the time I didn't really think bothered me, but looking back, it's probably what triggered a lot of the issues that I had to get a lot worse. So because of that, the lies got a lot bigger, a lot worse as I got older. And in secondary school, obviously people were a little bit smarter, so they tended to find out about what I said, which caused to lose friends. So I didn't have even less people around me than I had before. And then that also caused bullying, and it caused just even more isolation when it was actually meant to make me, well, I thought it would make me more popular. So that continued through college, it continued through work, it went through social media, online sites. I had trouble with the police at some points, and it just continued and it spiraled, and it got worse to basically the point where I hit rock bottom, and I didn't really know how to deal with anything anymore. I didn't feel like I had a personality anymore because I covered everything with lies. And I still didn't get that feeling of acceptance that I was wanting. So because I'd hit that rock bottom, and I thought if I continue how I was going, I would probably do something probably very, very stupid, and I would do something that wouldn't make anything any better. So I ended up reaching out and getting help, which before I did that, I had to accept myself and admit it to myself that I had a problem, and then go back through my entire history to discover what was going on. So I had to go all the way back to the roots. And then by the time that happened, obviously I'd speaking to Julian Campbell. When I started speaking to you guys, obviously that was still the same problem, which was difficult to admit to you guys. But I ended up reaching out to family, which then went to you guys, which then went to psychologists, community mental health team, steps to wellbeing, my GP. I went to loads and loads of different people, and I ended up eventually getting the help that I needed. But it was difficult to do that because it wasn't so much difficult to tell everyone else, it was difficult to have myself accept it. And I don't think it was until I was able to see how good life was without those issues, with them put to a side, that I realized that I actually really needed to do it. So yeah, this year I opened up to you, I opened up to JCF, and you guys have continued to get me to where I want to be. So everything's a lot better now, but it was a long journey to get to where I am. So
yeah,
that's a little bit about me.
but well done though, because it's you that put in the work. You've put in the
Yeah.
hard to get yourself to where you are. So what's your life like now compared to how it was before?
Before, I was very private, I was very isolated, I was very paranoid, I was very hypervigilant, self-conscious. I had a lot of insecurities, whereas now they're all just disappeared. Like, I don't, obviously the anxiety's still there and it probably always will be, but I don't have that. When I used to get anxious before, I'd have nowhere to go with it. I'd have nothing to latch onto that would help. So that's what the lying did. It was like an escape. Now that lying's gone and I know other ways to deal with things, when that anxiety comes, 90% of the time I can just throw it away because I don't even have to think about it anymore. And it doesn't have that same impact on me, because before it used to have an hourly control over me all the time, and now that that's gone, it's like it has no control at all. There is very, very small amounts of time where I feel like it's bothering me, and that I never thought that would happen. I never thought I'd ever escape from what I was dealing with. So, and now I can do things that I could never do before, because those, I guess, demons that I had before would hold me back from being able to do things, and I couldn't do what I wanted to do because even though I wasn't consciously thinking about those problems, they were there, and they found other ways to get into my life. So now that they're gone, I can achieve what I want to achieve, and I don't have that looming anxiety that I had before. So life's a lot happier, and I'm a lot closer to family, a lot more friends. Just, yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah, and you said like you couldn't do what it is that you wanted to do, and now you're able to do that. Like, what kind of things are you talking about?
I had a big problem with self-belief. So I used to do a lot of exercise, well, I still do, but I used to do it a lot, and I could never get to where I wanted to be. I could never achieve what I needed to or wanted to, because that self-belief, even though like in the front of my mind I believed in myself, in the back of my mind I didn't. So I always had that voice in the back of my head saying, you think you can do this but you can't, and that voice was so controlling and so powerful that it stopped me doing everything. But now that voice has lost its power, I don't have that in the back of my head anymore. I have the opposite, where I'm like, even if I don't want to go out for a run one day, if I don't feel like it, if I don't want to get out of my nice warm bed to go out in the cold to go for a run, there will be that voice in the back of my head that actually goes, no, you can do that. Like, you've done it 100 times before. You can go back out. You need to get out there, go and do it. Do you know what I mean? It's the opposite of what it used to be. And again, that's something I never thought would change. I thought it was just me. I thought I was rubbish. I thought I was useless. Like, I just thought it was me, but it's not. It was those demons that were stopping me. So
yeah. And I just want to hear a little bit about like how is the mentoring program? How have our mentors helped you and supported you through all of this?
Mentors have made me see that it's not me. They've made me see that it's not, that my illness isn't who I am. It's a whole another part of me that doesn't have full control. And I thought I was a horrible person. I thought I was, you know, everything bad was because of me. Everything bad that ever happened was because of me. And now that I see that it's an illness and it's something I can control and it's something that I can take the power out of, it's made me see that that's not the case. And they've created ways that I can control the anxiety. They've given me tools to use to make that a lot easier. And then that obviously makes me not have to revert back to old habits. And they're just very encouraging. So
brilliant. And what would you say, like, you know, if you've got a young, you know, a friend, you know, that was talking to you and, you know, and needed advice from you on what to do, you know, what kind of advice would you give?
Reach out. As hard as it is, I know how long it took me. It took me over 10 years to get the courage to reach out, but I know that if I did it sooner, I wouldn't have as much pain as I did at the time, because in my experience, reaching out is a lot less painful than carrying on how I was, because it's just easier to say it and let it go rather than have it build and build and build and build and build over years. To reach out, find someone, even if it's someone you don't know, like JCF, like other charities. Just when it's someone you don't know, it's a lot easier, because they don't have the judgment. They don't know you well enough to judge you. Not like your family would, but you know, it's easier to talk to someone that's not related to you, that doesn't know you. Reach out, because it was the best thing I ever did, and life's a hell of a lot happier since I have. So yeah, I'd say reach out, even if you start with just saying a little bit, and it all comes out over time. That's basically what I did. So yeah, I would say just reach out, even if it's a tiny problem. It's easier to share rather than to keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. And so what about the future now? Because, you know, all of a sudden, because you put a lot of hard work into this, but, you know.
Yeah, just to carry on going. I think now, before I didn't think I could ever change, but now, even when the thought crosses my mind to go back to how I was, it's like, I know I would kick myself if I went back to that, because of because of how close like the future is, how close my dreams are, how close happiness is, even though I am happy, but how close ultimate happiness is. It's like, if I reverted back, it would be one step back to where I was before. And just to keep going how I am, really. Hoping to get a good career, hoping to get friends again. I haven't had proper friends in a really long time, so to meet people, yeah, just live how I should have lived before, and make the most of it. So
Brilliant. And I know that we've had this conversation about, because, you know, you are an inspiration, because, you know, I mean, you talk about, you know, 10 year mind you, I suppose it's half of your life really, isn't it? Because this started when you were 10 years old, and now it's 10 years later. And, you know, so what do you think about becoming a mentor?
I would love to become a mentor. Hearing how you guys have, you know, helped me out, it's like, if I could do that for someone else, that would be amazing. So yeah, 100%.
Brilliant, because you are an inspiration, you know, and you've really kind of like worked hard with yourself, and you've turned your life around. And, you know, and because of that, you know, you're an inspiration for a lot of you know, other kids, yeah, really young people that think that, you know, their life is going to stay as it is and it's never going to change, you
Yeah,
know, you're
that's
walking.
exactly how I used to think, is that
Yeah.
I'm going to be like this forever and I'm not going to come to anything and life's always going to be this bad, when really it's not. If you want to change bad enough, you will do it, as hard as it is. I'm not saying it's easy at all, but like, it does get better, 100%, a lot better. And I want to make other people see that, for sure.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love that. Thanks for that. I'm just looking to see if we've got any questions, actually. I can't see any that have been written down yet, but yes, I've got a question. So I've got a question. So what do you think of the JCF mentoring program? I mean, you know, and it's, you know, do you think it's suitable for young people? You know, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, being able to recognize a feeling or being able to recognize a mood is a massive help. Because before, when I felt anxious, I'd be like, okay, I don't know what to do about this. But when you can realize, okay, I'm feeling like this, and then be able to say, but I can do this, this, and this to get rid of this feeling, if you want to get rid of it, if it's a negative, um, to be able to identify a mood and then be able to do something to change it is a massive skill, and it helps so much. And it's, you know, something to be taught. It should be taught more. If that was taught in schools, that would be like amazing, because if I had that in school, it would have been life changing. But yeah, definitely, it's to have someone to teach you something like that is amazing. So yeah, I'm 100% with it.
Brilliant. And what about, talking of which, in schools, I don't know whether you did PSHE, like, you know, personal health
Yeah.
and education, like what kind of, because really that kind of thing, that kind of coverage, like about mood and mood management, would be in like PSHE. What do you remember of your PSHE, or is it PSE? Yeah, it depends on the school.
Yeah, no, it wasn't anything like that. Most of my PSHE lessons were like sex ed lessons. Even though that was partly in science, but
Mm,
like the more emotional side of it was PSHE. That's all I remember of PSHE.
mm,
I don't remember having nothing mental health related, nothing like that. The only mental health stuff we ever got taught in school was for exams, like exam stress.
mm.
Um, but me personally, I never got taught anything about emotions or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So that's brilliant. So that's what we can see in school. Is there anything else that you would like to see in schools? You know, that would, I mean, what do you think? So this all started about 10 years ago, and if the
Mm.
school had done something differently, you know, and supported you, then you wouldn't have had to go through all of that, you know? So
Yeah,
what things do you think could have made a difference, like, you know, in schools?
I think
Is it
my
difficult?
teachers my teachers were aware of it.
Mm,
They never spoke to me about it, but they were
mm,
aware it happened. Because other students, obviously, because I did it to a lot of people, other students would come to my teachers and tell them about it. And my teachers would give them advice, but never spoke to me about it.
mm,
So all I got from them was a telling off, because they assumed I was just being naughty.
mm,
Um, when really, if I did it that much, I feel like it should be seen more as a compulsion, which is what it was. Um, but obviously, teachers they aren't trained to notice things like that. So I think having maybe teachers be trained in mental health, not necessarily all teachers, but maybe I don't know if schools have it now, but they didn't have them when I was there. Have a mental health nurse in schools. I don't know if they have them now. I've heard some schools do, but mine didn't when I was in school. But a mental health nurse, or
Counsellor, James?
sorry,
A school counsellor?
I don't think so.
Wow.
We had obviously we had like houses, like we had 4 houses, and you were in one of the 4. And then we had a teacher that was head of those houses. That if you had a big problem, like it had to be a pretty big problem to be able to talk to them. You'd be able to talk to them about it, but it had to be a big problem because they were obviously pretty busy people. But no, I don't think I ever had a school counsellor. No, it was just teachers. Like teachers, if you went to a certain teachers to talk to them, they'd talk to you, but obviously they're not trained. So yeah, no, at least in my school, we never had that, no.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really great feedback. Thanks a lot for that, because I mean, especially at this time, you know, those are things that we need in schools right now, you know, because young people with this kind of like really strange year, some of them haven't had any kind of like support in schools whatsoever. You know, so I mean, things are already bad beforehand, but like with this going on, you know, it's not getting any better. But like, you know, that's thank you for that. That's thank you for, you know, for speaking about the mentoring program and what it is that you're dealing with, and you know, congratulations for turning your life around, and
thank you.
And agreeing to train up as a mentor for Julian Campbell Foundation. So like, you know, it's you're a bigger asset for us, you know.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just, I think what I wish I saw, or what I wish I had known years ago, is that everyone has issues. Everyone has something in their life that's a problem, that bothers them. And to you, it might be massive, but in reality, it's actually quite a small thing. Like I thought the lion, I thought my anxiety was huge. I thought I'd be like seen as the worst human being on the planet for doing all this stuff, and it's like actually it's pretty small, and it's something that can be changed pretty easily. So something that you may think is enormous is actually a pretty small problem that can be changed quickly and easily. So never think, but on the opposite end, never think that your problem's too small. Don't think that, oh, this isn't bad enough to be talking to, you know, a mental health nurse or be talking to a mentor about, because, you know, we all deal with things differently, and something that I may consider massive is actually pretty small. So, you know, don't ever think that your problems aren't valued, because no matter how big or small they are, you'll get support that you need. So
okay then, brilliant. Thank you for that, Gems. I'm just going to say, for those of you that are watching this or watching it on the rerun, if you've got any questions about the mentoring program or any questions for myself or Gems, please do put them below or inbox us. And so like, have an amazing evening, and we'll look out for your messages. Thank you.